Hey, what's up, guys? So yeah, I want to talk about energy vampires a little bit. So basically, like I was thinking about energy vampires, like this concept of people who kind of drain your energy, and it's kind of a weird kind of thing. But yeah, you know when it happens, like your energy will feel drained afterwards, and you'll be like, what was that? And so it's a thing called people they call it energy vampires basically. And it's so people who are energy vampires, they're not really taking anything from you. They're like manipulators are, or trying to like take something or get you to do something or control you. It's a little bit controlling in a sense, but it's more, sometimes I feel like it's not as evil. To me, it's not as evil as like straight up manipulators who are trying operating in deception and really trying to play you and think that you're a fool and trying to get away with some kind of narcissistic stuff that that people try to do, and when you know to where they're trying to gain something financially or take something from you or whatever. Whereas energy vampires, they're taking your energy, and that's still bad. But sometimes sometimes they can also be narcissists and manipulators too. But sometimes they're really just, they don't even really want anything from you tangibly, nothing tangible, but they do want your energy. And so what's going on there is, and I've noticed this has happened, there's people that I've dealt with, you might be having like a conversation with them, and really most of the time what happens is they're asking you a bunch of questions. They want to know a bunch of different things about you, and you might start answering their questions and they'll just keep asking you a bunch of questions, and they're very curious. They a lot of times they're very externalized. They're not, they're wanting to, they're always like looking outside of themselves and curious about people, but then they don't, there's not a reciprocal kind of thing going on really. That's more that they just want to take from you. They just want to know about you, and it's not like a give and take kind of thing. Like if you start asking them questions or something, it's kind of weird. Like they don't really, they really just want to ask you stuff. They just want to know about you, but they don't really want to even tell you about them. So there's always something weird about that to me, where when people do that, where don't you think that that's weird if somebody wants to know about you, but then they don't, when you try to ask them stuff about them, they're weird. They don't want to tell you the stuff about them. So it's like, that's kind of weird. It's like, isn't that unfair to, like, for you to get to know personal things about me and what my life is like, but you don't want to tell me anything about your life? There's already something kind of there. If you're gonna ask me all these things, and it's only fair that I should get to know all those same things about you if I'm gonna tell you my things. So that's a first thing. But a lot of times they're so externalized where they don't even really know a lot of things. They're just so used to just trying to live vicariously or through other people. So that'll happen. And then there's also this type where, like, they will talk about their interests and things, and you might be a really good listener too, and really try to listen to whatever hobbies or interests and stuff that they're into, and take a genuine interest in it. And it's fun. It's like, oh, you'll learn about it. But then when you try to talk about your interests or anything like that, they don't really listen the same way that you listen to them. So there's no reciprocation there. It's always just, they just want to talk about the things that they like and have you listen to them, but they don't give a fuck about whatever your thing. So it's like, okay, that's weird too. To where they just use your energy for that. You're such a good listener, because there are so many people who just don't give a fuck. And so when they find someone who's a good listener and is kind and listens and gives them genuine attention, and then so they can talk about their interests. Like they take advantage of that, but at the same time, that's using a lot of energy. Listening uses a lot of energy, but if they're not going to reciprocate then that's not a mutual. It's only fair that I should be able to talk about all my stuff, and you would listen just as interested and be just as interested in what my interests and passions are as you are. But I've dealt with these kind of things, and you feel drained after them. So yeah, it's sometimes it's just weird, or they'll like tell you, oh, look this up or watch this video or listen to these songs, and every time you see them, they might give you a new song. They're just so interested. They just love the fact that you give them that undivided attention and into what they're passionate about, but they never, they don't really care. It's not, they could be like, oh, well, what are you into? They never even really ask. And if you try to start talking, sometimes I've done it where I'll start talking about it just to kind of show them, it's like, oh, okay, just to try to test to see if they care. And a lot of times they don't, they'll just be like, they won't give you any of the same kind of attention and listening that you give to them. And so it's like, okay, don't you see, do you not see that that's weird, that they don't, because their energy, they just want to take your energy. They're not going to give you any of their energy. And a lot of times they're just very externalized, so they maybe are not very good at internalizing things anyways. And so yeah, I think that it's, there's a lot of people that, they're concerned with their social dynamics, or they're not really thinking about themselves that much, and more focused on whether or not they have friends, or how they fit in with the social groups and the dynamics. And I think to where they don't really even know themselves that well too. So it's it's all just they know that yourself, but they don't really know themselves. But you're a person that's real, but on some level they're really kind of just they're not really real themselves, but it's like you have to be real for them because you are real and stuff. But yeah, they can't be as real, to me as I am to them. But anyways, yeah, what do you guys think? Yeah, it's kind of a longer video, but I wanted to get it off my chest because I thought about it and I was like, I had a couple of, things going through my mind about it. But yeah, it's, these things are tricky out here nowadays. Hard to find that reciprocal kind of like give and take, of energy and stuff, to where where you don't feel like fully depleted, and find someone who can meet you at the, or at the least that you can be silent together and not have anyone, taking more than they're giving, that you can just, but so a lot of times, yeah, people will come into my energy and want to just take, so there's the energy vampire thing that goes on. Anyways, you guys have a good night, and I'll talk to you soon.